FX Nation, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And let's take a look at some of the trade setups that happened today, guys. Today was a really busy day for CAD pairs. So if you had CAD pairs, you probably saw a big tsunami that came out of monetary policy for those particular pairs. So nothing for me to trade on any of the CAD pairs. All right. What I did trade was Euro AUD, and that actually gave us a really nice type 1 setup. Again, we are looking, for me, I'm looking for sells because I'm coming off of a reset. So that's my directional bias. And we end up getting a multi-session type 1 setup. The first leg pins to the 200 in the London session. And the second leg also pins the 200 as well on the US session. We ended up getting a railroad track on the second leg and a pullback. That pullback here that you see, this big wick here, that pullback is the actual entry. And then of course, once you have that kind of a big pullback, you can take advantage because essentially the first target you can go is the 50 and you can get a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Now granted, this went way more than that. It went total about 60 pips or so, so a 5-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Me personally, I didn't take it that far down. I was in and out once I got my 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. The only other pair that was traded on as far as the Euro pairs was Euro JPY, and again, coming off of a peak formation high up here, I'm looking for sells. It's the only thing I'm looking for. So, and we ended up getting a nice type 3 setup. So what does that look like for us? Well, you can see if we go back into replay real quick, just so you can see the boxes. So you can see the Asian range here comes from the bottom. We get stuck at the middle of the range, and also the 50, 200 just happens to be there as well. So I know the highly likely that this is going to end up pushing price down, or these EMAs here, the 50 and the 200 is going to act basically as a form of resistance. Now we ended up getting this big candle push all the way down that closes. This is the candle that tells us that this move is happening. Now we ended up getting a barely, some kind of a small pullback here, which is fine. So we took the trade knowing that we're basically going to at least try to take it if we look to the left to where previous week structure is. And what I'm saying by that is basically this structure here and this structure here. All right, and that would have given us our our 2-to-1. So this particular trade worked out great. 38 pips on a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, and you had multiple forms of confirmation. You could see on the TDI bouncing off the 50 as well. So you have everything there. On Euro AUD, if we go back that, there's actually divergence as well on the TDI. You can see the first leg here is high, second leg is lower, while these two spike up to be even. So you get some divergence there as well. So that helps us with the entries and confirmations. As far as any other trades, guys, there's only two others. USD JPY gave us a really nice type 3. Same thing as you could see here as Euro JPY. This one was even cleaner because you got a straight railroad track that pinned to the 50. Same thing here. Price got pushed out of the 50 line as well in the TDI. Again, coming off a peak formation high to the left here. So we're just looking for sells, and we can continue to do that. Our trade set up with a 2 to 6 because we're taking the profit to the 800 since we can use the EMAs in our favor to take profits. Obviously, it went way further than that. It went another 40 some odd, total about 45 pips or so. But for me, I'm just in and out, taking trades and moving on. Last trade we took was on AUD USD, so gold. Now, gold was pretty interesting because we're coming off a peak. We're coming off a peak formation low reset, right? So I'm only looking for buys. All right. And if we go back here, I'm going to tell you something that happened here. There's two different scenarios that ended up happening here for me. So the trade setup is this: we get a type 2 setup. Okay, that's pinning, as you can see, to the 800 EMA. So great confirmation there, right? This right here ends up being the first leg. Now, as we come back down, we hit the middle of the range, railroad track back down, all right? And then we railroad track again right here. You see this? The red and blue candles. So we get another railroad track that also pins to the 800, all right? And then after that, pay attention to this right here. We end up getting essentially a pullback, right? So this candle here gives us a pullback, which allows us to get in, halfway down that railroad track candle. Now, if we look at the setup itself, right, we have divergence as well, because you could see the first leg on the TDI is down here. The second leg on the TDI is up here, while these two are even on the chart. Right, so this was the actual first trade that we took, and as you can see what happened, we got taken out here by more liquidity grabs. And all they're doing, if we look to the left, if you just look to the left, all they're doing is grabbing more liquidity down here, right? So if this ever happens to you, if you get into a trade and essentially you get taken out when everything seems to be perfect, right? All the confirmations are there and everything like that, and everything seems to be perfect for you to take the trade. And you take the trade, but then you get stopped out because they want to go and grab more liquidity down here or more orders. Okay? Do not be scared to re-enter the trade as long as they're showing the same behavior. Okay? So here's what I mean by that. So I took this trade and I lost, right? I took this trade, lost, got stopped out here. Now, look what happens an hour later. They go for the liquidity grab again, and they give you another railroad track, right? I saw this, and I'm like, if I get a pullback, I'm going to take that trade again, right? Because these are just liquidity grabs, and now I have a better range. Right? Instead of this low here, no, now I'm aiming towards these lows down here, because that's where the actual range that they're grabbing contracts from, right? So we ended up getting another pullback here on this candle that you just saw, and that's the entry. Obviously, we're taking it to the 200 because that's a 2-to-1, over 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, about 2.5. But the EMAs are in our favor, so why not use them, right? So that was the second trade. So the first trade we lost because, we were just in the wrong timing aspect of it. And sometimes, guys, that's just going to happen. That's okay. That's not a big deal. If you're paying attention to it still and you're seeing the liquidity grabs, the contract grabbing that they're doing, you're just in the wrong time because they don't have enough contracts on the books to do this move that they want to move. That's the only reason that they're grabbing this. Okay? If you have to think about what do you think is happening right now when market makers are doing that move. If you think about this, what do most retail traders are thinking coming off of this? They're thinking that this is probably going to be a quick, more selling to go off of, right? But we know better than that. We know that their true intent is to go higher. And this is the evidence right here. These grabs. Boom, boom. Okay? So if this ever happens to you, listen, it's okay. Just keep paying attention, and as long as the low is not taken out, which it wasn't, they just wicked it, wicked it, wicked it, then you can go ahead and take another entry. Don't be afraid of it. All right. So hope you learned from that, because I know I've seen a couple of people from our chat tell me that they've had this happen. I believe it was Euro JPY. Well, it just happened to me as well. So you're not the only one that it happens to, and it happens to a lot of other people. So don't think that it doesn't ever happen to somebody, because it does happen. All right. But essentially, those were our trades that we took today. Not a lot of crazy trades. Nothing on pound pairs, by the way, which was pretty surprising. But there was nothing available that went with our directional bias that gave us a good setup. And that's the point that I'm going to keep harping over and over and over again, is we're looking for the right setup. I don't care if other people take trades because they see something cool. Let them take trades. For me, I have something in place that I'm going to use and follow because I know it works, because I've back tested it. Right? If you have a system and it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay? So guys, I hope this short video here helped you again with entries, and actually gave you an example of what happens if you were to take a loss, but you're still correct in that same directional bias. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you like this content, like the video. If you've taken any of these trades, by the way, that we've shared with you this week, let me know in the comments. I'd like to see what trades you guys are taking throughout this entire week here. All right, guys, thank you so much. If you need any more help, join us on FXN Plus, and enjoy the rest of your trading week.